today we're cooking rice with saucy livers, nice and simple. We're also going to be adding a little avocado on the side. Nothing, you don't need to learn how to cook that. Really on cooking simple with Blaze. Yeah, probably need to work on my intro better. Anyway, first place to start, let's clean the kitchen. You know what they say about cleanliness and godliness. Apparently, they're next to each other. So let's make sure the kitchen is nice and clean. Get our chopping board up. My cooking style really is a find whatever it's in your house and cook with it. So got some white onion, some spring onion, a capsicum. It's also called a pepper in some parts of the world, and a little carrot. Got some jalapenos. You don't need to use that if you don't like spicy food. Garlic and ginger mix. You can find that at your supermarket quite easily. And the chicken livers. Very nice. So everything quite simple. Let's start by chopping everything up so that we can cook it. Let's start with the onions. What I'm going to do is just speed up things here so that I don't take up too much of your time. Try dice them as thinly as you can. I love a lot of onions, so I use a lot of onions for this recipe. Feel free to use less if you're not a fan of onions, or not at all really. You do you, girl or guy. Yeah, totally fine. Then next we're gonna cut up the spring onion. Let's start by removing these little root thingies at the end. We don't eat those, throw those away. And let's remove the dead little bits at the back here until we're just left with the nice fresh green parts. Let's chop that up. We're gonna speed that up as well, just so that we get past it very quickly. Try dice them as thinly as you can. They will cook better and nicer that way. Cool. Let's put those aside and chop up our capsicum, as we call it here in New Zealand. Other parts of the world is called green or red pepper. This is yellow. I know, irony. Colors don't work. Yeah, it's also called a yellow pepper. I'm sure you can find that in some supermarkets. But remove the center bits with all the seeds. You don't eat that part. Throw that away. But any color pepper works as well. If you have a red one, use the red one. If you have a green one, use the green one. Just really whatever you find in your fridge. I feel like the guy who just takes up the stuff that's left over and just makes some food with it. I don't like wasting any food. So dice that up to little pieces as well, like you did the other stuff. Put that aside. And I had this one little bit of carrot left. The rest of the carrot has been eaten at some point. So just dice that up as well into little, small little cubes, triangles. What are cubic triangles called? I don't know. But yeah, once you're done with that, put that aside. What we're going to do now is we are going to clean our livers. They usually come in the red liquid called blood. So we need to clean that out because we don't want to eat that bit. We don't know if it's clean or not. So we need to clean our food. So let's just wash that. Fast forward, magic, nice and clean. Wonderful. What we're going to do now is just season it. Simple salt is really great. Just some salt in there. You can put as much salt as you like, salt in your food. Black pepper, really nice to add a bit of flavor in there. Feel free not to add it if you're not a fan of flavored foods. Well, it's not really spicy, so I can't even say spicy food, so it's flavored food. I know the sound is very sick, it doesn't sound very nice, but yeah, try and mix it up together so the salt and the pepper covers the food very nicely. You're going to get a saucepan, heat it up on your stove. The second part is where you're going to cook your rice. We're going to add a bit of spice into our livers. You can use any barbecue spice or any chicken spice or any spice you just have lying around that you really like. A general spice works as well. If you want to curry it up, you can use a curry as well. Add as much spice as you like in your food. We like our food quite flavorful. Then we're going to make the rice. We're going to make simple white rice. This is basmati simple rice. We try 1 cup of rice is enough to feed the two of us for 2 days, 2 meals. So I like to cook 1 cup of rice so that the next day or whenever we're gonna have some extra food. I usually cook on Fridays, so over the weekend we don't have to really cook again, or we can use this as a cheat meal on like a lunchtime or whatever. So 1 cup of rice, add 3 cups of water in there. Also add some salt. You can also add some oil just to make sure the rice doesn't stick together. Then you're going to put it on high heat until it boils. Cool. Then we're going to put high heat on our saucepan. Try get a saucepan that has a lid. Put your oil in. I'm using olive oil here. You can use any oil. I'm sure it's fine. Whatever you have lying around the house. And yeah, let that heat up until it is nice and smoldering hot. Yeah, we come a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing in the pot. When your oil is hot, just spin it around to make sure it's nicely spread on the bottom. Then you're going to add all the little veggies that you chopped up. Fry them together until they are well cooked. I'm also going to fast forward this bit a little bit so that you don't get too bored of my video. Try saute them well until they're well cooked. The onions will turn a goldish brown. That's how you know that they are cooking nicely. Keep an eye on your rice as well, because once it starts boiling, you need to reduce the heat on it. So how my stove works, oh wait, let's talk about this. This is the ginger and garlic. Let's put that in there. You put that in when these veggies are almost cooked, because it doesn't take long to cook as well, and it's already finely ground, so it won't take long to cook. Stir that in as well. Also keeping an eye on your rice, like I said before. When it starts boiling, reduce the heat so that it doesn't spill over. My stove has setting 0 to 9, so I start on 9, I turn it down to 7, then after a while I turn it down to 5. Then we're going to add the jalapenos now. Feel free not to add this, and add as many as you feel would make your food hot enough. I added 5, and I found out a bit too late that that was too many, so feel free to add less. 1 is gives quite a lot of flavor, quite a lot of heat. 5 probably gives a bit too much heat. We had to eat this with like a side of lemonade just to cool our mouths, but it was quite tasty and flavorful overall. But cool, stir that in, make sure it is all well cooked, and when it is well cooked, you add your livers on top of that. Then you can stir in your livers, make sure everything is nicely mixed together. Also, like I said, keep your eye on your rice. When it keeps boiling, when the water gets very low, you can turn it down further to a heat of 3. Just make sure it's simmering and you don't switch it all the way off. Stir in your vegetables into your livers. Try to make sure they are nicely seared on both sides. Then close your pot. Reduce your heat to like a heat of 7 to make sure you don't burn anything. We're going to use something called Royco. This is something special from my home country, Zimbabwe. So if you don't have that, you can use any soup mix that you have locally. I use a chicken flavor specifically. You don't have to use a chicken flavor, you can use any flavor. To that, I add some tomato paste. You can use actual tomatoes. And you can just grind them up or chop them up, whichever is easier for you. I like using tomato paste because it's just convenient. I just get it out of a can. You can get that in any local store. Tomato paste or tomato puree, either is fine. I added a bit of water into the tomato puree just to make it easier to mix into the food. After the onions have cooked the livers, onions inside there already, of course, has cooked for a bit, mix it up. Make sure that there isn't anything burning onto the bottom. If they are a little burnt, or things that are sticking to the bottom, try scrape them off and mix them in. I think they add flavor to the food. And when you have done that, just spread it out, make sure that everything cooks evenly, and you can close your pot again. Check your rice. If it's nicely fluffy, add a bit more water and reduce your heat to like a 2 or a 1 and leave it to cook. Add a bit of water also to your livers. Make sure that they are cooking nicely. The heat can stay at about a 7 or a 6 here as well. After a while, just check in on them, look like they're cooking well, and if they're looking like they're mostly done, you can add your usavi mix, or your reiko, or your whatever soup mix that you have into the food. Mix it in together, and make sure that everything is well mixed together. Then you can reduce your heat further, maybe to like a 5 or a 4. Add a bit of water so that nothing sticks, especially if you didn't add enough water into your soup mix before. Mix that in nicely to make sure that everything is mixed properly and nothing is sticking to the ground. You must smell very nice aromas at this point. Let's close it up. Like I said, reduce the heat, make sure nothing burns. Here's one of my special things I like to add to food that I have tomatoes in, and that's sugar. What sugar does is it breaks up the acidity of the tomatoes. It doesn't make it as harsh to eat, and it makes it taste quite good. I also like to add a bit of chutney because it's sweet. We love sweet food. So savory and sweet is kind of the flavor profile I'm going for here. But all of these things are preferences. If you don't like sweet food, then don't do that. But yeah, I find sugar really cuts the acidity out quite nicely. So that's why I use it when I'm making these saucy livers. Always make sure that you give your food a bit of a taste. Make sure it has the flavor profile you like. This is what it looks like after simmering for a bit, nice and saucy. And this is what the rice looks like. Spilled a bit of water there, sorry. Nice and fluffy and separated. Then just grab a plate, put your rice in, make sure you separate it nicely so it looks nice. Presentation is half the game. If you're cooking for yourself, who cares? Do what you like. Put it in your plate, and then on top of that you can add your saucy livers. They look nice and saucy. This should be enough to serve between 2 to 4 people, depending on your appetites. If you're very hungry, you might as well eat this by yourself. You can do that. I added a bit of avocado on the side just to cut the heat of the livers, because it was quite hot and that was a problem. Enjoy!